was their path would get you on Apollo, an A&R person would spot you and sign you? Or was that the idea, or was it just let's just hope for the best?
Yeah, hope for the best. And the thing about it is that even after the Apollo, it wasn't like we got a record deal or nothing, but we were so young, but we just stayed grinding and performing in the neighborhood. And we perform in all 4 boroughs or 5 boroughs or whatever, from Bronx, Queens, Long Island, Brooklyn. And we just still performed. And then a turning point for us was when we moved to another spot in Brooklyn. And the 3 brothers got together with the 3 cousins, who was Baby Gerry, Shy, and Curt. And once we got together, that's when we became Full Force. And we started performing as a local band and a self-contained band and group. And we were pretty damn good. We just couldn't get a record deal because we was trying with cassette tapes and stuff like that, handing them to record companies. Sometimes we'd sneak out there. You know, I'll never forget one time, that's how we went to the studio. Me and my brother, it was so crazy. Me and Paul, we went to the studio, Power Station Studio, because we wanted to meet Nile Rodgers. You know, Nile Rodgers from Chic. And
Yeah.
Nile Rodgers was there. And I remember it was him and Bernard, what was Bernard's last name? But anyway, Bernard Edwards, because they were Chic.
Yeah.
And there they were, with Nile Rodgers standing court, and me and my brother's like near the piano. I don't know how we even got in there, but there they were, like not arguing, but Nile Rodgers saying to the girls, to Sister Sledge, "I refuse to work with any artist that has an attitude." And I'm like, wow, I can't believe we're part of this, listening to this, and we're unknowns. But he was giving like a little tongue lashing to Sister Sledge. Before recording them. But we knew that was like the first guy that, man, if we can get Nile Rodgers' attention, and we got his attention all right, but we didn't get no record deal because we were like nuisances. But after that, our co-manager at the time, Steve Salem, he said, "Guys, listen, we keep handing in demos and recordings to these record companies, and they're just not biting. I feel in my heart, if you guys produce and write music for others, then I think you guys could get a record deal as Full Force yourselves as artists." And I never understood that, because I'm like, I've never heard of an R&B group producing anybody back then. Like, who does that? But I got voted out because I didn't really care about writing and producing for other people. I just wanted to just concentrate on Full Force. But the group went for it, majority ruled. And thank God, because that's been our bread and butter for our career, writing and producing for others.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, getting to that. It's, I've interviewed for close to 50 artists over the past year, and the stories about the business and the industry and things like that. But going back into those early days, I think the one thing we noted about when Full Force came out, you had a certain image, that a style that you had. When you were trying to get the record deals, what was the image and style that you were going to the labels that they saw?
Well, yeah, our image was kind of, we dressed like rockers, but we had a hip hop attitude and an R&B sensibility. But the way we looked with our Jerry curls, we looked like rockers, crazy rockers. And then we had the torn, ripped up shirts showing our physiques, because at that time was no group showing their physiques or talking about physical fitness. Nobody, but we did. And it was crazy. So that was our style back then. And even when we finally got a record deal for Full Force, our style was crazy, but our original songs we thought was great as well, But
did they say why they turned you down? Did you get a nice sense of why they weren't warming to you? Is it the image or the songs that they didn't like at the time? What was your, on reflection, what do you think the labels didn't like?
I don't know. It could have been songs, maybe, because we were singing some crazy songs, but we don't know why. But we do know that once we produced 2 acts, all of a sudden, we was like in a bidding war for 2 record companies to sign Full Force. It was crazy. But because we were producers, like the first artist that we ever worked with and that had records out, and we didn't even produce them, but we kind of produced them, but we never got that credit. But it was okay because he treated us like we weren't scrubs, and that was Kurtis Blow, the king of rap.
Yeah.
We did 5 songs with Kurtis Blow on 2 different albums. That's because our co-producers, Robert Ford and J.B. Moore, gave us that shot. And we wrote a song called Under Fire. We even wrote the lyrics, and he did it. And he wasn't ego or nothing. He treated us with so much respect. So the biggest Kurtis Blow song we was ever a part of was a song called Basketball. They're playing basketball.
Yeah, that was huge. I was in Nigeria. I was in Africa back then.
Basketball. They played it out there too in Nigeria?
Yeah. I was in high school, and that was a big track. Basketball was my favorite sport. I like the way, you guys wrote it, co-wrote it with him?
We co-wrote that, and we played on it. You know,
wow.
That's before we were even known. And then after that, we got 3 guys together by the name of UTFO, and the breakout song. So with UTFO, Kango Kid, Dr. Ice, the educated rapper, may he rest in peace, and Mixmaster Ice, the DJ, we created a huge song, which was called Roxanne, Roxanne, which was my brother B-Fine's concept. And it was just like a throwaway record, like a B-side, because the A-side was a song called Hanging Out. At least we thought it was the A-side. and then my brother B-Fine just woke up one day and he said, yo, man, I want to do a B-side record. You know, I'm going to call it Roxanne, Roxanne, Roxanne. And he told the guys, and I want you guys to rap about a girl. You're trying to get a girl, but none of y'all get it. Roxanne, Roxanne. And it was a huge hip-hop hit. It was a huge hip-hop hit. Did you guys get that in Nigeria?
Yeah. I mean, especially because then there was lots of different Roxanne, real Roxanne, Shante. Everyone just had a different Roxanne, and we were like, what? We actually thought there was some famous person that everyone was thinking about. Because all of a sudden you're getting a name that you've never heard before that everyone's talking about. But I guess the fascinating thing is when you're talking about producing, getting into a studio, knowing how to use the turntables, knowing how to play instruments. How did that come about? And being 6 of you, who did what?
Well, as I'm thinking, the 6 of us, and it's crazy, but the 6 of us, and my brother B-Fine hated this, but it is how it is. We didn't even sign no contract. It was just a written rule, verbally and mentally, that the 6 of us, no matter who writes the song, it could be 1 person, it could be 2 people, it's always going to say written and produced by Full Force.
Wow.
And we're always going to split it 6 ways. So every record that we've ever done always said produced by Full Force. So Roxanne, Roxanne was the concept of my brother B-Fine, but produced by Full Force. I Wonder If I Take You Home by Lisa Lisa was concept of my brother Paul Anthony, produced by Full Force. I Want to Have Some Fun, Naughty Girls Need Love Too by Samantha Fox was produced and written by me and Baby Gerry, but produced and written by Full Force. All for one and one for all, you know. So so whoever did the song, that person would spearhead that song in the studio, do the damn thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. And then what would the rest of you? Because that's very similar to what U2 do, and even Coldplay, and you can see how those groups last because they were. You know, I used to love watching Behind the Music on VH1, and the one thing you hear is the one guy who writes all the songs makes 10 times the money, and the rest of the band says, and they break up because the money comes in, but you had people like U2, Coldplay, doing written by Coldplay, written views, and that way there was that sense of, you know, we're all part of this, and no one got left out. Back in those days, and that's what I said about the one thing that really stood out is the fact that even as three brothers and bringing in your cousins, that you guys were able to have that sense of, we're doing this together, because not many families, even the Jacksons, as much as I love them, it was Michael and his brothers and stuff, and that put a wedge in. So how did that sort of grounding, where did that come from, where the three of you and your cousins?
Well, I guess from our parents, and not just me and my brother's parents, but our cousins' parents as well. Our cousins, our families, our aunts and uncles, and my mother and father, our mother and father, just put that sensibility of family and all for one and one for all, and yeah, it's six of us. So, when you split everything, it's not always that big of a pie, but that's how we kept it. And it was a sensibility of just family, you know what I mean? My brother Paul Anthony would say, hey man, my brother B could be at the studio and he could do the entire song from scratch. And Paul said he doesn't have to be there. All he knows is that when he gets to the studio, it's great. So if that makes him a better B fine, it makes him a better Paul Anthony altogether. So we just combine off of each other, and we cheer for each other. So that's how we rocked it,
So with Shy, Gerry, and Curt, were they your dad's brother's kids, or how they related? Because you said the cousin.
Well, I would say like my mom's sisters and sister-in-law kids, and my dad's one brother as well. And then one of them, Baby Gerry, is like more of a second cousin, but everybody's still a family affair. Okay. And the thing about it is, my brother B Fine, who didn't like singing, he used to like playing the drums, and he used to like playing the drums with our cousins, because they were like a band. You had the keyboard, Baby Gerry was on key, Shy on bass, Curt on lead guitar, and B on drums. And he would be around the corner practicing, doing more with them. And then I once saw them performing at junior high school, and I came back to Paul and said, yo, Paul, they're not that bad. Maybe we join the group as singers, as lead singers, and maybe take them to the next level. And Paul said, think so? Yeah. And I told my brother B, and he was so excited. He said, what? For real? For real, Lou? Y'all do that? For real? He was so excited, man. And that's how we meld together as full force. I came up with the name. And let me tell you something. Our shows was incredible. We used to perform, and then we used to do imitations. Like I said, as a Vegas act as well. We would do tribute to Chuck Berry, and Curt would play on the guitars, Chuck Berry and everything. Paul would imitate James Brown, or B would be Marvin Gaye. I remember imitating Sylvester and Luther at one time. I dressed up as Sylvester and do Sylvester, do Luther Vandross. And we were just having a blast. That would just be a segment of the show. Then we wrote some original songs. And that's when Steve Salem came to see us perform in Brooklyn. And I said, Steve, man, you should join us, man, because you got a good way of thinking. And that's when he talked about us writing and producing for others. And yeah, as no sooner than we finished writing and producing Police, Elise, and Coach Jam, which came right after Roxanne, that's when Full Force got a deal of his own. And I'll never forget, it was Sony Records, and it was a bidding war between Sony and Warner Brothers for Full Force. The guys that did, not as a group on its own, but the guys that did Roxanne, and Lisa, they're the guys that's doing hip hop. And so Sony had this big meeting. We're now getting into hip hop, y'all. We're going to sign Full Force, who did these records, but as a group. And they kind of jumped the gun because Warner Brothers wanted us also. And it was a bidding war, and then Sony went out, but we became record deal as a group as well.
So, I mean, I think there's been a lot of stories, especially for the 90s acts, on us not knowing the industry and business and just signing. And then we had Prince talk about, well, you guys are taking my stuff. Back then, when you couldn't get a deal and you were writing and producing, did you get a sense of, well, if we do get it signed, what is involved, what we own, and making sure that the terms are as good for us as possible? Were you aware of that part?
Not really. My mother, bless her soul, she's the one that told us to look into publishing because we didn't know.
Wow.
And that's what we started looking into, publishing and everything like that. We signed with Zamba, who was great to us. And that's when we started knowing that, yo, writing and producing is kind of nice, even more than just being a damn group and performing. So that was, I mean, man, we wrote and produced for so many people, but that was our calling card. Even though we was a group of our own, full force year group, but the writing and producing, and still to this day, and we still are able to collect checks. Phenomenal, you know, phenomenal.
So, Alicia, your mom got you onto that because that's you. As I said, that is the golden goose. I mean, most people would tell you that. Yeah, most people now know that owning your own publishing, and stuff. But back then, you were just doing it for the fun. You just thought performing, not realizing that if you write and own your own stuff, that's where things. Because no one tells you anything.
Right.
But then on the record side, if there's a bidding war, I would have thought then it's like, okay, so what makes you go to Sony over Warner Brothers? Is it that they're saying we'll give you more points, we'll give you more ownership,
and we'll give you more control that you could do your thing. So that mattered a lot to us, and it was phenomenal the way it happened. I mean, I'm not gonna say who the exec was, but what happened is that Sony had a meeting, and it was the urban R&B, the urban department, and they had a full-fledged meeting with the urban department and the pop department, and they announced ahead of this. They jumped the gun. They said, "Yes, we're going to sign full force." The guys did so. But then when they came back to us, I'm like, we didn't say we're going to sign with you guys yet. They just wanted to sign us to a single deal, like for one song deal at first. And we said, we didn't say we was going to sign y'all yet, to hold that to the black department. So we didn't say that. So now they were scrambling because they made this big announcement, with everybody there. And it's like, so what happened is that, man, he's such a nice guy. So what happened is that A&R exec came to our home, Full Force's home, where we rehearsed at as well. And there he was saying, guys, you got to sign with Columbia Records, man. You got to sign with Columbia. You got to. I mean, I'm telling you, because it was that it better happen because they wanted to save face, the black department, because they already made this big ass announcement. And now you don't really got Full Force, the guys that did UTFO and Lisa. So what happened is he said, guys, you really got to. And they did up the ante, Columbia, but then he said, guys, come on, please. I'll even get on my knees, man. And he got on his knees. We didn't ask him to. I'm like, get up, man. You don't have to get on your knees. Right in the living room. He got on his knees, guys, please. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. But he got on his knees, but we signed with Columbia anyway, not because he got on his knees, but because they offered us something really great as Full Force the group. And we never looked back. That's when we came out. Our first single was Alice, I Want You Just For Me, which was huge for us, top 10 in the UK.
Yeah.
And and other parts of the country, because that was sometimes one of the first times merging hip hop and R&B kind of together, so.